Welcome back to the Worldlands podcast. I am your host, Michelle Evans, and today I'm joined by Doyin Adewodu, founder of INFRASI, a new member of WTCI. Welcome to the podcast, Doyin.
Hey, how are you? Happy to be here.
I'm good. So because you're a new member, we kind of want to highlight what you do and, what your company does. So can you tell us a little bit about INFRASI and how you started this company?
Yeah, sure. At INFRASI, we deliver tailored IT and IoT solutions that boost operational efficiency and connectivity for organizations. From strategy to managing entire project/solution life cycles, we provide solutions that fit into organizations' unique environment. Our primary focus revolves around IT infrastructure modernization, connected vehicle fleets, and managed IoT solutions tailored for sectors like healthcare, education, and government. A significant offering in our current portfolio is managed IoT. We bundle devices, connectivity, and services to deliver a comprehensive asset operational intelligence. We typically start with a small pilot, gather feedback, and then execute a scaled out implementation.
Mm-hmm.
Prior to founding INFRASI, I had a privilege of working over 100 consulting implementation projects during my tenure at Booz Allen Hamilton and AT&T. These engagements range from small, short sprints to multi-year initiatives, providing me with deep exposure to a diverse business environments and a unique perspective on the intersection of technology, people, and processes. INFRASI was established to serve as a dedicated partner in technology adoption, observing the rapid consumerization of IT throughout the 2010s. It became clear that organizations required a new breed of partner to navigate these shifts. As a systems-minded technologist, I strive to balance deep theoretical engineering with the delivery of practical, impactful results. This difference is reflected in our diverse service offerings, where we bridge the gap between concept and reality through the provision of robust hardware and software, comprehensive IoT connectivity, and end-to-end professional and managed services.
So you mentioned how you have a deep passion for systems engineering and like mobile systems from your past positions and your current. So for those outside of the engineering world, what does it mean to look at a business's technology through a full life cycle lens? And basically, rather than just kind of fixing what's broken.
Great. The life cycle encompasses the initial conceptualization or planning, all the way through its final decommissioning. A great example is to consider a mobile device within a business system, such as the iPhone, which typically has a functional life cycle of 6 to 8 years, while the immediate focus often is managing that hardware, software in the business context in the present. A systems-minded approach requires planning for the device refresh as early as the second or third year to ensure continuous operational excellence. The proactive strategy prevents the performance degradation that often occurs with software demands outpace aging hardware, ensuring that field personnel remain productive without technical interruptions. With a full lifecycle approach, technology addresses the immediate requirements and doesn't conceal future fiscal considerations. Consequently, as the scope emerges, it necessitates a significantly higher product expenditures, product cost. This often happens when the initial architecture is too rigid to accommodate the rapid consumerization of IT or the integration of emerging technologies like AI and 5G. By failing to account for the total cost of ownership, the need for architectural agility, organizations find themselves in a trapped good enough state that ultimately hinders scaling and long-term innovation.
So you work with businesses across the country. When you look at a regional industry and industry clusters that you serve, where are you seeing the biggest gap between the opportunity a business has and the infrastructure that's actually underneath it?
Human capital is a persistent challenge. as
Hmm.
identifying or retaining top talent is a complex undertaking. Even at INFRASI, we frequently navigate the tension between breadth versus depth. While we possess deep specialization in mobile and wireless systems, our breadth is realized through our commitment to helping customers achieve their strategic objectives. This often requires more than just technical proficiency. It necessitates a focus on people and process skill sets to ensure initiatives move forward effectively. When coupled with the fact that infrastructure is primarily viewed through a behind the scenes lens, it typically only becomes a priority when fiscal cost or operational reliability are called into question. This dynamic is particularly evident when considering foundational components of digital infrastructure, including data centers, cloud computing, telecommunications. Organizations often operate in a good enough state until collaboration breaks down and key stakeholders become disconnected from the initiative's core purpose. Ultimately, these challenges do not manifest overnight. Minor technical or procedural issues often can be deprioritized in the short term. However, when left unaddressed over long term, they inevitably evolve into a significant systemic failure. The real cost of neglecting these foundational elements is twofold: direct financial loss as projects derail, and profound disruption to the day to day operations that impacts employee morale and trust. Addressing these gaps early is vital to maintaining the architectural agility that we mentioned before, because it
Hmm.
requires scale and integrate emerging tech. It helps integrate emerging technologies like AI and 5G.
So yeah, you keep mentioning a lot about the AI integration and 5G expansion. How does a legacy status quo infrastructure actually prevent a company from taking advantage of these tools once they're ready to scale globally?
The status quo trap is the most dangerous when performing the infrastructure gap analysis. Failing to rigorously define the gap between the business current state and the required future state is a fundamental barrier to the global scaling. Without this clarity, a company cannot effectively integrate AI or 5G, as these technologies demand a level of architectural agility that legacy systems cannot support. I'm a strong advocate of a program roadmap approach that addresses the core strategic question around: is the goal of revenue creation or operational enhancement? When this distinction is ignored, organizations often fall into a significant technical debt and have expanded security risk. A lack of strategic alignment means that instead of building a scalable foundation of for 5G connectivity and AI-driven insights, companies merely patch old systems. This unplanned approach creates fragmented infrastructure that is incompatible with the global integrated high speed and secure environments required for modern tech, ultimately stalling international expansion before it begins.
So, when you walk into a business for the first time, regardless of where they are and what they do, what are the signs that they've been running on that good enough that you mentioned, and what's the real cost they're not accounting for?
This is a fun question because we are a technology oriented organization. The first thing you think we're looking at under the hood at something technical.
Hmm.
But for us, the first thing is actually collaboration within the business. In most instances, we're outsiders or someone's sometimes considered a threat. Our role our role into operations is really helping moving initiative forward. Let me give you some context. Like as a young engineer early in my career, I didn't have a really good understanding of the terms scope creep or change order. Now it's clear as day because people matter. An example is when we have organizational misalignment from a signed contract to a kickoff meeting. We run into numerous instances where a key stakeholder attends the meeting and says, "What is this about?" Now we have to backtrack and explain to the stakeholder what the initiative is about. But this is a soft skill, getting alignment so we can move the initiative forward. With with this, momentum sometimes stalls, and the real cost
Hmm.
is twofold in the sense that financial, because the project gets derailed and finger pointing begins, And second, disruption to the business, the day-to-day operations. When morale is low, quantifying the loss of productivity and trust becomes the ultimate hitting cost.
So you're heavily involved in the Mid-Atlantic business ecosystem. Do you see a specific tech gap in our local industries that might hinder our ability to compete with global hubs like Silicon Valley or Singapore?
I think the Mid Atlantic ecosystem cluster is strong. It has the right mix of capital, research, policy, and industry, and so forth. One thing
Mm-hmm.
that drew me to the area, honestly, was the credible, strong presence of wireless communications. The
Mm-hmm.
region is supported by a dense network of federal agencies and private sector leaders who are pushing the boundaries on 5G and satellite connectivity. For me, it's more of a resource allocation. While I'm not certain we'll ever lead in the broad consumer tech categories, I do see us continue to be strong in wireless, cybersecurity, and defense. Our cybersecurity cluster is world class and fosters a unique pipeline that deeply integrates our defense with our defense sector, where the focus on secure, resilient systems create a specialized marketplace that is difficult to replicate elsewhere. Another major advantage we have in the Mid Atlantic is our proximity to other major clusters like New York City, Boston,
Mm-hmm.
Chicago. Accessibility is a quiet advantage. Being centrally located allows us to seamlessly collaborate with New York's financial markets, Boston's biotech hubs, and Chicago's industrial centers. This means Maryland businesses can easily tap into a diverse capital and client bases without the isolations from other regions.
Mm-hmm. So, if a CEO is listening and wondering if they are stuck in the good enough trap, what are 2 to 3 red flags they should look for in their systems today?
The three red flags that stand out to me are the user interface / user experience of their applications, identity and access management, and their data extraction processes. When you think about the user interface and experience, it's frequently overlooked in the system design. If a user perceives the technology as hindrance to their core responsibilities, they will inevitably seek unofficial workarounds, which leads to catalysts of shadow IT. And shadow IT is just the IT where we have no visibility and it doesn't fit into our security architecture or security processes. And as we integrate IT and OT and these unsanctioned practices significantly expand our organization's cyber attack vector. Another thing is, the password theft remains a dominant threat in the digital landscape. If an organization's identity and access infrastructure continues to rely on single factor authentication for over half of its applications, it maintains a posture that has significant systematic risk. Then a third thing that's big is the ability to extract data effectively is essential to supporting an organization's key performance indicators. Essentially, if data retrieval is cumbersome, achieving operational visibility becomes an insurmountable challenge. As automation continues to drive value through modern workflow, a deep understanding of this underlying data triggers that automation is required to prevent unforeseen systemic failures.
So, with your background in mobile systems, how has the shift to work from home changed the way businesses need to think about their physical and digital infrastructure?
The transition to work from anywhere has fundamentally shifted the focus from static physical office locations to the dynamic environment centered on data and end users, regardless of their location. When I first began working with mobile systems over a decade ago, I was fascinated with geofencing, which are virtual perimeters around physical locations used to trigger specific actions. And, today the concept has evolved into a broader discussions about data sovereignty, the principle that digital data is subject to laws in nations where it's physically stored or processed. For business, this means infrastructure is no longer just about hardware in a building. It's about building a secure, compliant digital framework that follows the employee. This anywhere model has acted as a catalyst. accelerating the need for sophisticated security risk management compliance. While some organizations have adapted seamlessly, many still struggle with legacy mindsets. Moving forward, businesses must continually assess their data classification strategies, align their technical controls to manage risk in real time. The infrastructure must be resilient enough to support a global workforce while
Mhm.
being rigid enough to protect the integrity of organizational data.
It's funny. I remember the first time I ever heard about geofencing. It was maybe like 10 years ago. I was still a journalist working, and I had to cover a like sort of like Shark Tank pitch type event. And there was a dog collar that used geofencing. And I was like, that's very innovative, very cool.
And when we start to understand that concept, it's yeah, like you say, it's innovating, but it's also like there's so many applications that like very
Hmm.
could come into play.
Exactly. Dog collar's probably not at the top of that list. So, if we look 5 years into the future, what does a fully modernized Maryland business look like in the global marketplace?
Our perspective is around the integration of AI, IoT, and mobile all coming together. We saw the first wave of IoT integration. It didn't disrupt the market as rapidly as expected. But now I think the characteristics around platform economics are well understood. I believe we are in a situation where the use cases for asset tracking, food safety monitoring, equipment monitoring, energy efficiency are available now. So a fully modernized business is able to take advantage of these solutions with either a buy or build approach. Moving forward, this convergence will fundamentally redefine the strategic landscape for Maryland firms. A fully modernized business no longer views these technologies as siloed tools, but as a unified system. This integration enables real-time data flow from the edge via IoT and mobile that directly integrates into AI tools, allowing for autonomous operational judgments and predictive strategy. On a global stage, this creates a significant competitive advantage. The ability to pivot based on live asset intelligence rather than historical reports is what will distinguish the leaders in the next 5 years.
Hmm. So, last question for you. You've built INFRASI around the idea that technology should serve the full arc of a business, not just the moment it's deployed. What do you want Maryland business community to understand about what's coming and why the window to get ahead of it is right now?
AI is forcing leaders to fundamentally reassess both their business and operating models. When I
Mm,
first encountered AI a decade ago, these solutions appear futuristic. However, in collaboration with peers, we viewed, we viewed them as a critical complement to diverse job functions. This moved from automation to a focus on value creation in the sense of if technology saves our time, where can we best apply our human capital? Furthermore, I'm deeply intrigued by the potential for business process and workflow modernization. Significant efficiency gains encompassing time, cost, and labor are now within reach. The challenge lies in determining the precise level of automation required to achieve this modernization. At INFRASI, we are examining this internally, specifically identifying where human judgment remains essential within our AI frameworks.
mm,
This is a pivotal component of our managed IoT service where devices not only trigger maintenance workflows, but also deliver comprehensive asset and operational intelligence.
mm,
The time is now to embrace these technologies and begin understanding how it's being applied in the market. While the
mhm,
degree of exploration required depends on an organization's current state, this process is vital for generating the insight necessary for a robust cost benefit analysis.
mm,
While AI is often discussed through a technical lens, the product modernization strategies for these tools is rapidly evolving. Without active engagement, organizations risk falling behind and understanding how to effectively allocate their capital to meet these futures demands, which is why the time is now to begin.
mhm. Well, thank you, Doyin, for joining me today. Can you let everyone know, how to find you and how they can connect?
Sure. So you can find us at www.infrasi.com, or you can, reach out to us through World Trade events because we are going to be active in the community going forward. So we'll love to
Awesome.
connect and be engaged and work with everybody in the community.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for listening. For more on events, member news, and insights, visit WTCI.org and be sure to follow us on all social channels at WTC Institute. Until next time.